What's up, everybody? Today we're starting on the transfer case cleanup, tear apart, reseal new bearings. It's got the bearing and seal kit that hopefully everything internally is correct. The kit I ordered did say it was for our 241. I did not see that there is a C after the 241, and I guess there's a few different variants of this transfer case, but they all seem pretty similar. So I'm hoping the only seal that I need to go and get separately is this tail housing seal. If it is, no big deal, but we're going to tear this all apart, check all of our bearings and seals, make sure all the rest of those match up, and see if I got to return that kit or not, and try to find a 241C specific kit. But so yeah, we'll get started on that. Starting here with the tail housing, you can see I already had this seal and the tail housing off a while ago. I think I was going to do the transfer case before I did the transmission, and after I pulled the tail housing off, I was like, do the transmission first, which we just finished that up, so now we're back to this guy. Probably be a while before I get it all cleaned up with the sandblaster and everything. Currently working on trying to modify that to make it work a bit better. But yeah, tail housing, 4 bolts, your seal there, it comes off. We normally just have RTV or sealant on there to seal against that face, and we'll keep going from there. Alright, then you got this nut to get loose off of this flange. There is a washer behind it as well, but this whole flange should slide off. There's your washer, there's the flange. And then we'll take our nut off of our shift fork here, and then also our sensor here. Alright, so we got our shift lever off and that switch or sensor, whatever you want to call it, out. Also took out this back one, and here's what it looked like coming out. Doesn't look too bad, I don't think. I don't have any big chunks of nothing anywhere. We'll wipe it off and check it out, but we'll continue with our teardown. I believe the next thing come off is this plate, and then also this kind of tail housing here. Alright, to get this rear housing off, first there is a snap ring here. It sits in this groove on our output shaft, and then this pops off with some pry points around here. It is 5 bolts. Never mind, it's 4. I can't count. But yep, so that housing is free. I don't think I got a clip of this, so here's that front cover, or that front plate pulled off. It does have what looks like an oil passage right there to line up with that hole. Just 4 bolts on that guy as well. And from here, I believe we're good to split the case. This shaft is loose now that snap ring is gone. And this housing is off, so we'll split the case. Alright, we got all of our bolts busted loose. The ones on the very far ends have a washer underneath of them. And none of the others have that washer, so just the ones on the very far end, lengthwise or widthwise, depending on how you're looking at it. The snap ring sits down here inside this groove on our input shaft. I'm pretty sure it has to come out, or this snap ring has to come off before those halves will separate. Alright, so I got my case halves kind of coming apart. This shaft kind of needs tapped in to release off of that bearing down in there. And then it looks like this, I don't know what this part's called. I don't remember seeing it in the video I watched. But it looks like it's kind of being a pain, so I took this little snap ring off. It sits right down in there, right in front of this. I believe this is a speed sensor wheel. So take that off. And we got another snap ring in there. I'm going to take that out, try to free up this this plate. I'm not sure what exactly it is. If I figure it out, I'll put it on the screen somewhere to note what the hell this is. Alright, never mind future me, who's probably going to be staying up way too late on a work night to get this video edited and uploaded. That's your oil pump. Pickup screen and your tube and everything. That's your oil pump. So yeah, this whole cover did come off a lot easier once all that was free off of our output shaft. Where'd our magnet go? I saw it dropped out. Magnet, besides what was picked up on the table, doesn't look too bad. Looks like, yeah, looks like we'll be in business. We're doing this the same way we did the transmission. Just clean everything up, reseal and rebearing, and we should be chilling. That's our chain. And all that fun stuff. We'll get the rest of this pulled out. You know what? I think someone might have already been in here. This transfer case is pretty new compared to the rest of the truck, because those pads, I don't see any wear marks on them really at all. And our synchro down in there is nice and shiny brass. Yeah, this might be a little bit of a waste, but we're already here, so I'll keep pulling apart. I'll still reseal and rebearing everything just so I know I'm the one that did it. But this is pretty clean, like a lot cleaner than I would have expected. I mean, I know I was doing fluid changes on it. Huh. I wonder if this transfer case was ever replaced in the lifespan of this truck, or if this has just been rebuilt, or if it's just hasn't been used and abused. I mean, I know I didn't really do much 4x4 stuff with it. I think the most abuse it got from me was when the rear diff blew up. I had to limp it around on the front axle for a trip to the junkyard for a new rear diff. But yeah, cool. We'll keep rolling with it, because I mean, I gotta clean these cases up anyway. They're filthy. So yeah, we'll just keep rolling. Now I've taken the actual like shift linkage out of there. Here's where our little rod was attached to. That's the plate. Wiggles down in there that way with your different detents there. The detent bolts in to the bottom there. There's not any spring pressure on it by the time this nut's backed all the way out. So that's nice. It doesn't try to fly across the shop. So looks like maybe these shift pads are pretty old. That one's warped. Yeah, that one's broken. So either this part, and this one's cracked. So either this part wasn't serviced, or this just takes more of a beating than the rest of it. But I mean, that's more or less the business end as far as actual drive power, more or less, from what I understand. So I don't know, we'll keep rolling, and whatever's not in the kit I'm still gonna order and replace. I'm gonna tear all this out because I'm gonna sandblast these cases, so everything's gonna get tore out and replaced as far as bearings and seals. So whatever's not in the kit I will end up getting. Alright, so there's this big old snap ring that holds the ring gear in for your planetary, which again, this all looks pretty nice, except for in there where it's exposed to nature. Pretty dirty. But yeah, this ring gear isn't really, feels like it's pressed in there. So if that's pressed in, I'll leave that alone. I'll still take out the bearings, because that gear, I'm not going to be blasting it directly. It's all going to be on the outside. I'll just have to make sure I thoroughly clean this out. There are some little crevices, but hey, that's why we got our parts washer tank, so that'll be fine. So I'll put the snap ring back in there, and I'll work on getting our bearings out and then compare everything to what I have in the kit. Alright, so this big bearing on our input side normally sits in like that. It's held in by this snap ring, goes into the groove on the bearing, and then this just lightly taps out going into the case. Set that over there and work on getting this seal and bearing out. Alright, so there's that bearing and seal. This bearing also just kind of sits in there, and the snap ring on this side holds it in. And the way I did this, I took a punch and hit on this inner race here, knocked the bearing out first. It comes this way into the case, and then smacked the seal out that way from the back, because trying to get under this lip was not going to happen with how much crud is built up on the outside there. Alright, so that leaves the only other bearing in all of this left to be this guy in our rear case. I thought I might have been able to figure out a way to get that out of there, but there is not. a lot of clearance between the back of that bearing and the case. So I think I'm gonna have to pick up a blind hole puller just for that guy. But besides that, I believe, nope, we still have a bearing in this very rear housing, but looks like he'll just pop on out of there as well. So yeah, that's pretty much 99.9% it. So from there, I'll compare what I have in the kit here. I won't record that, not really a point. Just if you do this yourself, try to, and I had mixed results on this, try to find a parts kit that says whatever leather designator, because I saw things like C and K. I think I saw HD or a B or something. Some kits will note exactly what letter designator. A lot of them don't. Like this one didn't. It just says your new process gear 241 transfer case, and applies for the year, make, and model of my truck. So I figured it was going to be, 100% match. But obviously that tail housing seal is pretty much a lot bigger than mine wherever it went. But yeah, there's our transfer case teardown. Pretty simple. I mean, looks a little scary going in it the first time, but this one's pretty alright. Alright, hold on. We might be cooking with some sauce. Going through here, found this little bearing, well, I started with this guy because I don't see anything immediately matches this guy. This guy does match into our rear case, so we're chilling there. Was looking for what this guy matched up to, so I started taking the planetary apart because there's just a snap ring up there, and then we go plate with shim, and then a shim on the very bottom there to our actual input shaft. And there's this little bearing which matches this guy. So far we're matching stuff, which is awesome. Just wanted to make that quick note to go a little deeper. Alright, so just wanted to hop in here real quick and explain a little bit about that kit. So that kit seems to be a pretty universal kit for the NP241. Looked up that kit on USA Standard's website, and it has probably the longest list of truck models and years that out of any of the kits that they have, even though it doesn't have that letter designator. I did find a seal for the tail housing that fits in there. I went and found my drive shaft, and it seals on the yoke. And then I checked the diagrams that GM supplied for this truck back in '93, and that diagram does show that as a more flat seal, not with that extended boot. It seems like that is a second design or optional design, whatever. A couple other seals fit and seal up against the output shaft, the input shafts, all that, and look a little different. So it's probably just updated designs, other variants of the same thing. So this kit does seem like it's going to work completely. That bigger bearing that I had, I'm pretty sure that probably goes into the big gear on the output shaft. I'm not going to take my synchro apart and all that, since it looks damn shiny, clean brass. So we're going to let that run. Just put the seals and bearings in that I have taken out and that I have found. I just picked up the blind hole puller today, so we'll get those pulled out. Stuff for the sandblast cabinet should be getting here this weekend. Don't know if we'll get around to actually putting any of that on to the sandblaster this weekend, but I will probably make a video or two about upgrading that sandblaster. And yeah, that's about it. We'll see ya.